Michael Raskin, and today I'm going to be presenting how technology affects humans. To start off with, I want to mention that technology has created a new form of life, definitely has significantly opened up new doors, and basically led humans to create the unthinkable. Now, while technology has impacted our daily lives in a positive manner, it definitely has its extremely harmful and overlooked side that needs to be taken into great consideration. With this being said, I'd like to give my proposition that computer technology is a danger to human health. Now, I'm going to focus my claim on two aspects of health, first being mental human health, and the second being physical human health. Now, when I mention human mental health, I am referring to these three topics that I focused my research on. First point is focusing on how technology causes sleep disorders. You may ask yourself how technology causes sleep disorders, but this disorder, also known as insomnia, is mainly caused by overstimulation of the brain. Most people either watch TV, use the computer, or text on the phone before going to sleep, which does not give enough time for the brain to relax in order to get the proper rest during sleep time. A study was conducted by Dr. John Herman, a sleep expert at UT Southwestern Medical Center, which reported 60% of 1,508 people use some type of technological device before bedtime, and claimed that to have fatigue and tiredness throughout their days. Dr. John Herman also believes that the light that is being emitted from the screens of these operating devices directly affects the human circadian rhythm. Now, the human circadian rhythm is the body's natural time clock, which basically directly reacts to light and dark times of the day. Again, essentially putting people into an awake mode during daytime and sleep, or being tired during sleep time. With these lights being emitted during our body's sleep time, our bodies send a signal to basically be awake at a later time of night and wake up at a later time of the day. This is another form of overstimulation which responds to directly influencing stress on humans. My next topic touches on how technology causes stress on humans. Basically, humans are so interconnected with work as well as family that we don't have enough time to ourselves. In other words, we just don't have that free feeling. We're always interconnected with some kind of technological piece. The average adult starts their day with their work, with emails, phone calls, faxes, etc. Now, while technology helps us be connected, it doesn't let us have a mental break, which subconsciously causes stress on our bodies, and does not make the day flow as easier as it actually is supposed to. Along with this comes family interaction. Now, mostly consists of each member being preoccupied with one device or another. You walk in the house, one person's on the TV, one person's on the computer, one person's on the phone, which takes away from human interaction. It basically harms the relationship that is needed in a human or family environment. Directly causing stress on parents because they cannot connect with their kids, and children just feeling stressed out by their parents nagging all the time. Third topic regarding mental health is about technological addictions. Psychologists found that internet addiction as well as video game addiction are just as serious as alcohol and substance abuse addictions. Kids and teens have had symptoms such as emotional shutdown, lack of concentration, and withdrawals. Other cases have also found violence and anger outrages. For example, in 2009, 17-year-old Daniel Petrick has shot his mother and seriously injured his father after having his Halo 3 video game taken away. Issues with technological addictions are becoming more and more serious and more frequent. The second aspect of my research is how technology affects humans physically. As I mentioned earlier, technological addictions affect behavior of humans. It also destroys white nerve endings in the brain. Research conducted by Dr. Hao Li, from the Chinese Academy of the Sciences, had used MRI scans to prove the diagnosed internet or technology addicted individuals have damaged white nerve endings in the brain, which impairs their thought process as well as physical actions. Now, another direct harm that's physical is a direct usage of computers or laptops, especially tablets. There's a huge problem with ergonomic discomfort, which leads to severe back, neck, and shoulder pain, as well as other types of pains throughout the body. A study at Boston University showed that more than 50% of students experience pain caused by computer usage, which means that potentially there are 2.5 million students suffering from discomfort due to computer usage. All in all, as technology is a great thing, there are many reasons to have great concerns to the amount of negative aspects that come from using computers and other devices. Technology causes sleep disorders, stress, and serious addictions. It also harms our body by causing back and neck pains as well as damaging brain nerves, which could lead to lifelong suffering. We just have to be more aware and take care of these issues immediately. Thank you for your time.
All right, Micael, as my tablet counts down your time and my video camera records your presentation, let's talk about the argument about technology. I think that the beginning of the speech, I can wait. I think that the beginning of the speech sounds like it's being phrased like an informative speech, and I know that there's an argument in there, and when you get to the proposition, there is the argument there, but it sounds at the beginning like you're saying, how does this work? How does this work? Why does this? And let's not ask those questions. Give us an example as your attention device, something that will illustrate the controversy a little bit for us. I don't know that you want to use the example of the kid who shot his mother and father, right away, but something along those lines, even if you just complain yourself, you say, I woke up this morning, I didn't sleep very well, my back is hurting me, and to be honest, I'm a little bit anxious about the day. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that I checked Facebook 6 times before I went to sleep, and as soon as I got up, I immediately turned on the satellite radio, got in the car, was looking at my GPS, and when I got here, I checked on my email 3 times, something like that, so that we know here's what the issue is that you're talking about. I think that would make it a little bit clear. There is a proposition buried in the opening, and you do cite it when you get to it. I just think that it needs to be a little bit more distinct. The secondary claims, you did label them. It does sound kind of mechanical, which I got these 2 points that I'm talking about. First let's talk about the physical health, and then we'll talk about the mental health kind of. I think that those need to be a little bit more distinctive, interesting, or at least the presentation of them needs to be a little bit more distinctive and interesting, because it sounds like we're getting a checkoff list there, and that's just not going to be quite as involving as it should be. However, there's a good argument on each of those points that I think you do a pretty good job of. On some of the points, I do think that there are assumptions without much evidence to prove them. For instance, that the whole argument about the lack of human interaction depends on this hypothetical example that you have, which I'm sure that is probably accurate a lot of the times. I don't know how much that limits the human interaction. Just to give you an example, because I think everybody, when they're thinking, we talked about this as a source of a potential rebuttal argument, people put themselves in the argument and they start thinking about those kinds of things. So I'm thinking, okay, so I get home last night and my wife is reading, my daughter's on her computer. I turn the television on when I come in at 9 o'clock, check the news, that kind of thing. And there's the situation that you're talking about. But of course, my daughter immediately hands me her computer and says, can you look at my post for tomorrow because I need some feedback on it? And I say, sure. What is it you're worried about? And I'm talking to my daughter. And, my wife's telling me about the book that she just got in the mail, and the dog chewed the package open. Fortunately, it didn't injure the book, but the dog chewed the package open, that kind of thing. And I said, is there anything going on about the weather? Because I was getting home and I was expecting it to rain. And they said, we were watching the news earlier, and there isn't any news about that kind of thing. So I just turned the TV off and I started working on the post. So everything that you described is in my experience here, but the outcome is not the same. And I'm going, now, maybe I'm atypical, but and all you've got for proving that point is your visualization. And I think you need something more than that. Something that shows, for instance, that people They don't communicate well. Do we have more divorces? Do kids feel, is there a survey that says kids feel more alienated from their parents than they used to? Or even if there's a total amount of time that families spend together, if there's a way of measuring that, something like that would be helpful.
What about like a study that showed that families, or a certain percentage of families that were surveyed, prefer to have technology-free time for
It's a lot of stuff like that. Some other things like that. So there are a couple of places where those sorts of things crop up in the speech, where you mention something and then you kind of take it as a given instead of proving it. On the other hand, there are a couple of things that I think you do a very good job proving. For example, on the physical effects, you talk about ergonomic issues, and you've got some data about how many people feel aches and pains or problems. You make an inference about students and that sort of thing. I thought you did a pretty good job giving us some data on that kind of stuff. There are some authorities that you cite about the sleep disorder issue. I thought that was pretty good, explaining the theory. Not necessarily quantifying and proving it, but at least I've got some reason to believe that this is true, rather than just, you see that blue light at night and it bugs you, when you're trying to sleep. I've got an explanation about from authority who studied these kinds of things. The nerve endings in the brain kind of thing, that's a study. It's being cited. I don't know if that was a summary of the study or it's a quote from the study that you present. The citation's a little bit awkward on that. But it does sound like there's some data here that suggests that we're being rewired in some way. Other information I think would be helpful. I think you could use a little bit of backup on something like that, especially when you're making a pretty dramatic claim that says our brains are changing as a consequence of this. Like the Chicken Little argument, we talked about that. I gave that example, right? Chicken Little, a piece of it hit me on the head, okay, well, here's the piece. Are there some other pieces out there, some other information going to back that kind of stuff up? I think that would make the argument a little bit stronger. All right, so there's good evidence there. I think some places you need a little bit more information to back up your point. Your delivery is a little problematic. You're doing a lot of reading. You need to talk to the audience more. I understand, like I said, I don't expect people to memorize all their quotes and statistics, that sort of thing. But you need to look at us and tell us what the argument is, give us that explanation, and then if you need to look down and, Dr. So-and-so says this, or here's some statistical information on that particular point, that's great. And then come up and say, so you can see that this is happening. So don't forget that it's also communication oriented. This is not just a paper that you're reading. It's a speech that you're making to an audience, and audiences relate to speakers differently, and it does require you to develop some delivery skills there. All right? Thank you.